So I have three of my favorite flies that I'm going to tie tonight that I fish a lot. And I like to tie simple but effective flies, and I have all these fly tying materials in the world sitting within an arm's length away, but it seems like I use fewer and fewer materials these days. So I thought I would show you my Caddis and Iris Caddis and improved F fly. And they're simple flies, as I said, but I hope that you might learn some techniques tonight as I go through this presentation. So for the Caddis, it's I use just any dry fly hook, but I use a lot of Daiichi, so I'll be using an 1180 tonight, and I'll be tying it to a size 14. And thread color just to match the body. It's got a shock of amber Xenon. And body, I'll be using some Xenon dubbing that I got from Blue Ribbon Flies. And the wing is Caddis deer hair. And I wanted to start with the deer hair. That I know that I heard Al's voice on here tonight. Hello to you. But he talks about deer hair that he gets from the hides, and I get deer hair from a Ziploc bag. And so it's difficult to find different pieces from the hide when you have a Ziploc bag. So there's many types of deer hair, and I made a blog post a while ago that I highlighted some deer, and I got the descriptions from Nature Spirit, and they have some quality deer hair. The ones I use the most are the Comparadun and the Caddis. And you can go to their website, or actually, if you look at, I'll show you in a minute, I guess. Let me continue on. So we've got stimulator hair and all-purpose hair. There's hair that they use for spinning, and there's hair that hawk hair that I use for very small sparkle dun. And this is an example of deer hair that I would use for some Caddis. And what you're looking for are the different in coloration. So there's kind of a line here. So you've got tan, and then a little bit darker and lighter. But there's also, I wanted to highlight, this is the same piece of deer hair, but you look at it from the side and look at all of this fur. That's just under fur, and as a fly tyer, it's very difficult to tie with that. So when you're looking at these Ziploc bags, I encourage you to open it up and see if there's any underfur or not. The underfur is from later season kills, and it's the natural tendency for the deer to grow more fur so they can keep warm. And this is what I wanted to show you. When we talk about sparkle dun deer hair, we'll talk about the short black tips, which I'm showing here. So there's a coloration of black, and then a tan, and a kind of a gray. And for Caddis, the black is a lot longer, and it's not equal in length. You'll also get this tan that's a little bit longer, and then the gray down here. So that's the main difference that I wanted to share with the Caddis deer hair and the Caddis. And as you go to your local fly shop, you can check out the Caddis or the Comparadun, and that'll give you an idea of what to select. And then there's different colors, and it's just personal preference on the type of fly that you're tying. So the one I'm tying tonight, it's a tan Caddis, and so I'm going to use a lighter one. So we'll start with an Caddis tonight. As I said, I'm using a size 14. And Danville, this is olive thread, but I find that this particular olive kind of is a camouflage, and I use it for most of my flies. I'm starting right behind the eye of the hook because I'm going to come back and tie in my deer hair, and I need some thread down so that the deer hair doesn't spin. And I'll be using the tail crinkled Zelon in amber. Trim off the ends so they're fairly, get most of it off the square. And I'll just wind backwards to the barb of the hook. Make 2 or 3 wraps there, so it's not going to move. I like a tail a little bit shorter, a little less than the body length. And somebody in the chat had asked who were the name of the company. It's Nature Spirit X Caddis deer hair. Oh, great. So the dubbing I'm using is Zelon dubbing. You could easily use hare's ear dubbing, and I'll be using hare's ear dubbing for the next ply that I tie. But this has some sparkle to it, and it's worked well. It's one of the simplest flies you can really tie. It's got 3 materials to it besides your thread. And I'm tying a caddis, so it'll be a thicker body. As you can see, I started towards the front, and I'm going back. I'll hold the tail so I don't twist it around with thread torque. I'll move forward and then just trim off the long pieces. I'm not trimming them close to the body at all, just kind of getting out the long pieces. And then I'll be using some deer hair. This is X Caddis deer hair. And I wanted to show you 2 different techniques to tie in the deer hair. So I've just cut some deer hair off. I'm going to get rid of the fuzzies that are in here over my garbage can. And then put them in my hair stacker. Actually, it didn't look like it all got out. And I'm using a hair stacker that I bought from Kelly Gallup a couple of years ago. As you can see, it's what I like about it, it's a swing deer hair stacker, but you can see that the ends are all aligned. So I'll pull these out. And I'll show you the way that I used to tie these, set the wing. You just measure it to length. And what I used to do, take 2 wraps, pull up, 5 wraps, and then come through with a couple of wraps. And then trim this. That's what I used to do. But I found a simpler method for me, so I'm going to remove this, and we'll use another set. So I pulled some deer hair again. I'll clean it. I think I pulled a little bit too much out this time. Get the long ones out. We'll restack this. And they're all mostly lined up here. So what I like to do is measure this, and then I'm going to cut this, pre-cut it, so I don't have to worry about cutting it later. And I'm using my thumbnail, which will be right at the hook eye. And I'll take it over here and cut it. And then I replace it right at the edge of the hook eye. I'll make 2 wraps, another 3, 1 through the middle, and you have your head all nice and round. I prefer that. Honestly, I don't think the fish care, but it just looks like a neater fly for me. And you'll notice that the deer hair is sitting up on top of the hook. So having that 2 wraps and pulling will keep it like that. If you want to move it around a little bit, you can take your thumbnail and press a little. It'll still stay on top, on the top of the, about 180 degrees around on either side. This is a killer fly. I don't know why, it's just a simple fly pattern. Karen and I use this extensively on our travels on the Madison River. They've got a wonderful size 16 hydropsyche caddis hatch. And this one catches a lot of fish with that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that people have on the Caddis. I'll tie them down into size 20s. Yeah. 16s, 18s, and I'll go down smaller than that. But having, which brings up the point. Thanks for the question. Having the right deer hair so that you want a little bit of flare, as you can see here, and it's difficult to see, but maybe if I put the deer hair together, you might be able to see a little bit of the different coloration. And having, I could tie this piece of deer hair right into here, so I could have a smaller fly. But I found the workaround for a really small Caddis is to use sparkle dun deer hair, because it is the shorter black tips will help on a smaller fly. So in this particular case, this will all flare to some extent, but at some point, probably right in here, it won't flare anymore. So you want it, if this wing, the remaining part, is enough for whatever size fly you're tying, then it'll work fine. But otherwise, oh yeah, and just I'll just use what I might use is some UV fine and dry dubbing in black. So it's got a little bit of UV in it, and I like that. In fact, I'll be sharing this dubbing as I tie the last fly tonight. The Irish Caddis. So this is the other fly pattern that we use a lot. Use this for in the evenings or during the caddis hatch. This was originally designed to imitate a stillborn caddis. And again, this is a very simple fly, but the white Ceylon that we use for it, again, is the same tail and body essentially. I happen to be substituting hare's ear for the body, and I'll use hare's ear for the thorax as well. But the wing is white. So we'll go back to the fly now. So here's what I'll tie, and it's got the white wing. And I'll show you a trick on making that. Again, I'm using a size 14 tonight. I usually tie these in 16s and 18s. I'll start a little bit back from the eye of the hook. And the tail will be the same. So you notice that I didn't put too many wraps of thread on. And the reason is that I want to use the butt of the material to help with the diameter of the body. It's just a little thing, but I'm using open spiral wraps. I'll do it tight right there. And again, we'll cut a short tail. At this time, I'll use some hare's ear dubbing. What I do is to take the hare's ear and just clip it off. I have a coffee grinder, and I just make these, fill a Ziploc bag with hare's ear dubbing then. You notice it's very spiky. Again, the caddis body is pretty robust, so you don't have to worry about having a sparse body. And this time I want to start about a third of the way back because I need to leave room for the wing. I'll use just a little bit more. And as the other fly, I'll trim off just the really long fibers. And that's good. For the wing, I'm just using some crinkled Ceylon. And it comes, let me show you how. This is very difficult for me to work with when it's so curled up. But if you pull it, it will straighten out. And what I end up doing is taking a piece, taking my hackle pliers, I have an alligator clip, and I just hang it for a while, and gravity will just straighten it out somewhat. So you see that it still is a little bit crinkly here and there, but it's much more manageable and allows me to work with the wing a lot better. So to create this wing, I'm just going to double it over. And if I just tie it in like this, I found over time that this doesn't fish near as well. So what I'm going to do is take my thumb and forefinger and move these fibers so they're at an angle. So I'll just kind of press, and it just opens up the fiber a little bit so it's elongated. And I find that fishes so much better. Just a little small trick like that will help your flies last and fish better. Like the last one, I'll just take a couple of wraps and Make sure it's on top of the hook. Cut the butt ends. And then use some more hare's ear dubbing. It's for the thorax. And I might mention at times that this white Zealand is really easy to pick up, but during the evening, when there's some glare on the water, you'll find that making this with a black wing will be even better. I'll go to the eye of the hook and then wrap back onto the wing and then just kind of X over to make a little bit larger lump there for the thorax. I think we need a little bit more. It is. Caddis are. This is not a mayfly. And we'll get all those materials out and we'll whip finish. And you can make it scraggly. Just kind of imitate some of the legs. But again, this is to imitate one that's kind of tried to get out of the pupil shuck and it's just floating in the surface. Again, this is a great dry fly pattern. If you fish any water that has caddis in it, you need to have this in your fly box. Yeah. Yep, we use, actually I'll fish it like this to begin with, and I use frog's fanny. It's a desiccant, but you could use anything, and you could grease it up probably too, and it would be fine. So any other questions about iris caddis? Tie these in olive, black, amber, and just a lot of different colors are very, very effective. No, I've just used it as the amber or gold. This is an old blue ribbon fly, Craig Matthews fly pattern, and I'll tell you, they work just as well today as they did when they developed this fly. Now let me pull one out. I'll show you. The wing is still white. I'll get in the provider box and pull one out. I just use a regular clinch knot. Amber. And that works. Yep, it's Zealand dubbing, yep. Here is a olive one. When there's different color caddis out. Sorry. yeah, the caddis are different colors. So there's black and olive and tan and the amber color. You'll see that. Gray. There's gray caddis as well. But no, I haven't tied it in a size 8 or 10. I don't know how effective that would be. It might work, I don't know. Okay, so let's go to the last fly then. The improved F-fly. This has even fewer materials. And I think it's remarkable. We found this several years ago. I think it was 2018 that one of my customers asked me to tie an improved F-fly, and I'd never heard of it. And I did a little bit of research, and we tried it. And when the Caddis and the Caddis don't work for picky trout, particularly on the Madison when we go there and fish it, because there's all sorts of other fly anglers throwing a lot of different imitations, the CDC just seems to bring these fish up. So we'll talk about that momentarily. Okay, so for this one I'll be using I talked about the UV fine and dry, and I'll be using a tan color. It's called tan. And if you can see the coloration, it has tan and a little bit of pinkish fibers in it, and that seems to work pretty well. I'm using the same color. I think that's just kind of a camouflage. And I'm starting a good eye length behind the eye of the hook. And some of you might ask, well, why didn't you put the tail in? And the fly didn't ask for a tail, the original. And why would a fish eat this? I have no idea, but it's very similar. The other fly that we love for a CDC fly is an IOBO. It stands for It Ought to Be Outlawed, and it's a very, very effective fly. Just go to my website and use the search button and type in IOBO, and you'll see that. So I'm using some CDC feathers. Happens to be natural tan. But in that big package, you'll find a variety of feather types. So the long sweeping ones, they used to have better CDC than what's in here. Sometimes the stems are, this one is a nice feather. Sometimes the stems are too large in diameter. This is a puff. And what I'm looking for are feathers like this that are long fibers that we're going to use for a wing. And I used to be able to find feathers that I could use a couple of them, but now I'll use 3 fibers. So I've got 3 feathers here, and you'll notice that there's a curvature, and I want the curvature over the fly like that. So I need to align these, and I'll align them with I'll do them one at a time. So I'll get the tips aligned, and then bring the other one in, and align them like this. And then this will end up being my wing, but I want my wing to extend over the eye of the hook. And yeah, check your audios and mute people. And What I want to do is tie this over the front, and my thread is right next to the eye of the hook. And I'll make a loose wrap, 2 loose wraps. And now I can measure, but a different way to measure is to push the fibers back. And if that's too long, I'll just loosen the thread a little bit and pull and then tighten again. And I'll go back to where my dubbing is, and we'll trim, not close. And this will keep the wing upright, but it'll also provide a lot more float for the fly as well. You take your thumb, pull the fibers, and push. And the key part is that you want your thread at the tie-off point here to make the head of the fly. And then just come forward and you're done. So again, a very simple fly. That is very effective. I want to tie another one though. This one will be an olive colored one, and I'll show you how I use different colors of CDC to create a different color wing. But you notice how that wing sits up, and so I think that the body gets into the film a little bit more, and so it's a lower riding fly. But that CDC really floats the fly. And somebody asked about the floating. So we use the frog's fanny, or the loon dust would be good too. It's got a brush, and you can really bring that CDC fiber back. So let me get another hook. This time I'm going to tie a 16. And as I said, it will be an olive colored one. So this time I'll be using some superfine dubbing, and it's just olive color. I guess I need some thread first. It's remarkable to me that you can tie flies with minimal materials and catch fish, sometimes really big fish with these. Now the superfine dubbing is finer, and so it will take, when you apply it to the thread, it takes more dubbing, and you can see it isn't spiky at all. And I found that this fly, on the Metolius we have a great hatch of little olive stones. And the little olive stones will be flitting across the water, and they look like caddis. And so if you fish a caddis pattern, it might work, but having the profile of this fly with the stone flies, the wings are flat across the back unless they're fluttering around, then they, as I said, they look similar to a caddis. But in this time I'll be using 3 feathers, and one's an olive color. Doesn't look very good with my shirt, but the other 2 are dun. So I'm going to have a dun, put the olive on top, and then the dun over the top of that. Make sure they're lined up. One of them's off a little bit. Let me see if I can adjust that. That's going to be too long, so I'll loosen my bobbin holder. We'll measure again. That will be better. I'll hold the CDC fibers up, trim them, and then wrap back towards the tail of the fly to where the dubbing ended, and then pull the CDC fibers back. And it's hard to imagine how effective this little fly can be. You can tie, I've tied these down to size 24s. And it's very simple to tie then. You can get different colored CDC. You could use, Jerry, back to your question about the caddis, little black caddis. You could use some black dubbing and some dark done CDC for the wing, and that would be a great looking caddis. I have used puffs, but not for this type of a wing. I'll do it more for an upright. Let me pull, I've got some puffs out here. But there's also, the fibers are more, well, let me get one. Where are they? Here they are. So here's a puff. And I just don't, they're a lot more flimsy, I guess, because there isn't a stem or rachis running through them. So I use them for upright wings, but not for a wing like this. It's just I don't know. Maybe it would work. I just haven't found it very good. So other questions for improved F-fly. Notice how the different colors of CDC blend together to make a little bit. It's an olive color, but it's a dark olive. And I think having different colors blended together are more effective. The other thing you can do is, these are the remaining pieces of or portions of the CDC feather. And CDC dubbing is really good. So what you could do is just trim all of these and put them in a Ziploc bag and then save them for later and make some of your fly bodies with CDC dubbing. They sell CDC dubbing, so why not make your own? If you're only using the tips of the CDC feather, this would be a really good way to use the excess CDC that you have at your tying table.